So we have like harm in 4 local governments, and in this local government, they are not known as Java local government. We have one in Java local government, we have some in Kagruku local government, we have some in Kachia local government, and some at around Sanga axis, we have harm people. So how can this unify us together? And the mode of we already talked about the mode of dressing because in my previous episode, but you can still talk about it to see how that can unify us, or if you can provide an overview of the recent action taken by the former governor of Kaduna State, that is Erufai, that reduces the power of chiefdom. I know you are aware of some of the happenings and move some of the harm community to the Adara community. Yeah, so if you can provide an insight of these whole activities, because it will really help we, the younger generation, to know, okay, this is where we're coming from and this is where we're heading to.
Well, I totally understand what you are saying.
Thank you, sir.
And primarily, I think the challenge to me, having been privileged to travel a little bit wide, both internally in Nigeria and outside Africa and outside to other parts of the world, it's good. The most important thing, anywhere you are, if you can maintain two things, your identity and your culture, that's what is it.
Amazing.
But what I think we have missed, and you have mentioned most of it, is we have lost our culture, our traditions, as even our language.
Yes.
It's gone. It's virtually, I would say, gone. Yes, I have seen people talking about, I have even copies of New Testament in him. And they are working on the whole Bible. And I said, what do you need a language for?
Oh.
You need a language to communicate. We, the parents, from my generation upward, we are responsible for some of these things.
Very true.
I am not shying away from it, because my mother, by the time I got home in 1957, I understand virtually all communication in him, but I couldn't speak it. Because I grew up outside, what do I need? Besides coming to my mother and my father, how many Ham people were in Jos at that time that I interact with? Rather, I will interact in the barracks. We grew up with children from them. So we were speaking Hausa. So I grew up speaking Hausa up to 1957. Until when I got home, that I could understand, but I started speaking when my grandmother forced me. Circumstances forced me. So what is it? We parents did not force our children. We didn't see the challenges that the circumstances could create tomorrow. All we did, we allow our children to grow in the environment that they were in, to communicate with people in the environment that they were in. So that is a big challenge. I sincerely believe in the maintenance of culture. Unfortunately, I hope there will be an opportunity. I don't know where I have my clips and everything. You know, traditional Java ham room for women.
No, sir.
It was a long. I saw one.
Okay.
In Harmana. So in 2002 or 3, 2002, 2004, I tried to reciprocate one.
One, okay.
I got a lot of local builders to reciprocate one in Harmana. But unfortunately, we don't want to maintain our culture. Even as they were building, I asked people to film it, so that even if something happened tomorrow, maybe we could be able to reciprocate
Yes.
it, to produce it. Because I have been traveling all over, I don't know where those films are now. I remember in those days where the heavy VHS and this that you have. So we lost that because termites. Because originally it was thatch roof.
Okay.
So it was thatch we use. That's where we made a mistake. We would have blend the old tradition with modern technology.
Yes.
We would have seen how we get the expert to, instead of using starch, grassroots, we would have seen how we could mix it. So I was away in Darfur for 2 years. And that 2 years, I never had time to come home. Rain came, termite consumed the roof. So rain came
And also contributed.
and it now become, you hardly see the ruins, only the ruins you can see now.
Oh.
By the time I got back home, it was only the ruins. Nobody did anything to save it. So this is what I'm trying to tell you, is that this is how we as a people have allowed our culture to erode, to disappear, because we are pursuing modern things.
Yes.
We are building cement, granite, but we don't know that there's climate change, and those are even heating our body and our ground. Whereas if you go, and I can tell you authoritatively, because of my house in Jos, half of it is not. It was built by the ATM and the miners in Rayfield.
Yeah.
The old miners, that house was mud. And then, if you go into the other part of the house that we have added, it's built with bricks, the blocks, this cement. If you enter the house during cold season, when you are in the other part of mud, you will find it is warmer than when you are in the other part of the cement block. If in the heat, during hot period like this, the mud part is cooler
Yes.
than the bricks. I'm telling this from personal experience. So you see, we have decided that we are modernizing without really looking at what was the past.
We don't even have the commodity of the modern buildings, because the old buildings then, they like the room book back then we use for storage. Now we don't use them. Back then you hardly see termite or rat into room books. But now, okay, our rooms that we decorated for store, other reptiles are there feasting on it before we come and also benefit it. Yes. So we and the reptiles were fighting in the modern houses and then forgetting our culture. So sir, I want us to talk more on the connection, the unified connection between these 4 local government and our culture with these chieftaincy issues we are having.
You see, again, you have to move also with time. If government, you cannot fight, let's be honest, you can't fight government because they legislate, and if they become laws. And if you are now trying to fight government, you are trying to break the laws. So you have only 2 things: live with it, or find people who can support you and present your case in a way that you will be supported to get what you are. But again, in the world we are living today, I do not really think that we have to fight and get all the Ham community under one umbrella. No. What I would want to see, it doesn't matter whether Ham are in 50 local government.
Okay.
If we have a way to preserve our culture, to preserve our tradition, and preserve our values, that's all. Anywhere you are, they'll say, oh, this is Musufuham, yes.
Very true.
This is what they are. That is my way of looking at it. And that we can do by maintaining our tradition and our culture, by maintaining our value system, and by as much as possible to reinvent, because our language, we have to reinvent it
Very true.
because it's virtually disappearing.
Yes, sir.
If we are not careful at the rate we are going, in the next 20 years, people will ever forget that there was a language called Yam.
Seriously, we even thank God for this, our artists, some of the local artists
Yes.
that decided to equip us with the ham songs every day. If I just wake up one day, I'll be like, "Miku tata, misifu hamu." So imagine that song,
Yes.
like it keeps reminding me this is where you belong.
Yes.
So no matter what you do, don't forget home.
The good thing about it, and that's why I'm happy you have raised it.
Yes, sir.
The good thing about it, they have used technology and mixed it with our culture.
Right.
Like our songs, when we were growing up, it was only their big drum there, and thing.
Okay, yes.
That's all. But now these people have now modernized the song,
Yes.
and but they are still in our language.
Language. Yes.
That is the point.
Very
So
good.
in everything that we do, if we are parents and using technology today, you can learn Japanese, you can learn Chinese with the technology now.
Yes, sir.
There are even machines that can translate. As we are speaking in English, if we are sophisticated enough, we will find machines that will translate as I'm talking. They are
Yes.
translating it
Yes.
into him.
Yes.
So this is where the challenge is us for you, the younger generation, and we, the older generation, to see how we preserve the language. Because that is the number one thing that preserves the culture. If we are singing, our songs are in the language. If we are even going to church or mosque, we have been able to translate what they are saying in our religion into our language, then that will keep the language going. And that will keep the culture moving.
And that's why we are here, because Ham Heritage is here to preserve and maintain Ham culture. That's why we say, okay, let's follow those who are already in the older generation to help us get these details in one place, in one folder, that tomorrow, if our children come, they'll be like, okay, so this person is from Hamland. The things about Hamland will not just vanish. People like you now will be like, we'll be there, or we were there. And things will keep resurfacing. They keep hearing your voice. Even if tomorrow, God forbid, you're not there, someone will just play it and hear your voice, be like, so this is from our place. He is from our place. I'm proud to be identified as a Java person, as a Ham person.
But it's okay. You are right to take Java because it will take time for us
to get used to the Ham.
Besides that one, even if we get used to it, the people over there,
yes,
when you keep saying Ham, they say, what is there?
What's Ham? Yeah.
What is Ham? So when you say, that's why I try to say Java, we call ourselves Ham. Then I can tell you, so that anytime you hear me say Ham, you know I have introduced it. This is what you hear somewhere or you read as Java.
So, sir, now how can you people really come in to help we, the younger generation, to sustain this? Because we are ready, we have the energy, we have the strength to make this work. You people cannot come out every day and be doing this. How can you come in now and help we, the younger generation, to maintain our culture and sustain our value? Because we have a good media to reach out to harm people in the diaspora, in the local community, in towns and cities.
Well, you have the reach.
Thank you.
But there is something you need to also have create the awareness.
Okay, sir.
So that people are aware that this is available. Because to be honest, there was this magazine that newspaper quarterly or so that Kabido or something was producing. It was also Ham something.
Video.
I know about Kabido. Ham issue.
Yes.
Yes. And I remember they interviewed me, and I said our biggest problem is PhD. And people say, what do I mean? And I say, pull him or pull her down.
Very true.
Because unlike others, when there is one big tree, others try to lift
Lift it.
that tree.
Yes.
But ours, when there's a big tree, we all climb, we want to pull it down,
Very true.
want to pull that tree down. I have attended a function in our community. I have sat in place where people talk about me, and they didn't even know me because what they were saying is very clear. Even if you know a little bit about me, you know that they don't know that I'm the person.
Very true.
And somebody asked that person, "Do you really know that General Agwai?" He said, "I know him very well."
Like, have you met him in
I've
person?
met him, but I was seated there. So I am saying, until we have that culture of lifting people up, I've been privileged by God's grace in my life. I never dreamed I would be chief of army staff. I'm one of the few in the whole of northwestern part of Nigeria. And when you start coming to southern Kaduna, I'm the first to become chief of army staff. I'm the first to become chief of defense staff. There are few today who have held those two offices.
Yes.
I've held the two offices. I was chief of army staff, I was chief of defense staff.
Oh.
So I thank God for that. People will tell you so many things. Oh, what did he do? What happened? This is not immaterial. I have said one thing. How many of you, when I was chief of army staff, seek an opportunity, an appointment to come and say, "Sir, we have this ambition," like you have said now.
Yes, sir.
How do we reach out?
Yes, sir.
We have this ambition. We want to do this and this. These are our challenges. Can we discuss it with you? Or do you have any idea, and how do we execute it? That is where people who want to project, and that's why I'm saying that you have to project, and you also have to interact with people to be aware that there is something happening. Nobody discussed with me that I should go and build a place to show our traditional place. If you go to that place, even the Ngban, we call it.
Okay.
I built it where you hear chicken.
Chicken on there, yes.
I built all those.
Oh.
And if you don't know, the real Java name, I have forgotten. But it was a long room. Inside there is a small one, whereby you keep, that's the reserve. When you are building, they now told me that's what you have said, maintaining the culture.
Maintaining the culture.
Inside, there is a ban. And if you know, even the big one, they are built in such a way that when there is fire, your grain will never get burned.
Yes.
The same thing in this one inside the room. It's a small ban inside, but that's where you keep the store, and that's where you keep the grain that you are going to use for planting.
Yes.
The next season. And that is the reserve. If there is fire, you still have something to eat. And then the bulk of it is the grain for the season. They are all there.
Seriously, that has affected us to the extent that the year will come and they will not have anything to make like a province for the next coming year.
We never taught our children about keeping a reserve. This is what I learned in the military that I will never forget in my life. And this is what I have imbibed upon my children and anybody I'm mentoring. In everything you keep, you must have a reserve.
Very true.
Because things may not go well.
Well, yes.
If the worst happen, what do you do? So, if we don't learn how to keep reserve, we'll continue to have where we are. So, one, we also have to leave this thing to our children, that our culture must be maintained. It's a culture that have respect for elders. It's a culture that in the family, doesn't matter how educated or how strong or how exposed you are, there is the head of the family. When something happens, he say, "No, okay, leave it, don't do it." Everybody listens.
Yes.
Today, do we have that?
No, sir.
We have allowed this. That's why we cannot progress. Everybody feels is independent. Come on, me, like me. How can somebody talk to me like that? No, it's not our culture.
Very true, sir.
It's not our culture. We respect elders. You will even say, if not because of this person, I would have done this. But I can't do it.
Yes.
And they will listen because of that respect that our culture gave and this, but we have allowed it to erode us. So there are bad things in our culture that modern time come, you have to modify it. But there are those major things in our culture that we must keep them if we want to progress. We must keep the language, we must keep the culture of respect, we must keep the culture of understanding ourselves, we must keep the culture of our hospitality, of helping people. Even in the past, when you are passing, somebody is farming, why do you consider, can you come back, can you branch and take something?
Eat, just eat.
And if a woman, if they are
There's
not,
nothing.
if they are not, you are carrying something, carrying food to people in the farm. Yes, food. Can you stop and eat?
Yeah.
No, because our culture is there to share. And like the white man says, sharing is
It's
caring.
caring.
We care for each other. We want to share with each other. Those cultures are going, and we are all responsible because of our selfishness, because of our self-centeredness. So until we are able to do this, but as I've said, we have the reach, we have to have awareness that people are aware that there is something like this happening, and they have the time to listen and understand. And then we'll find it. Is again, it has taken us so many years to be where we are.
Very true.
So we cannot change it overnight.
No.
We will need some time. We will need some time to move gradually back, and people will then start having that pride to be sure for him.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Thanks for listening to us. If you have been following from the beginning, you understand that we have so many ways of maintaining our cultures. Please be that individual that will help in promoting ham culture and maintaining the culture. I'm your presenter, Joy Joshua Kishimi.